Hello and welcome to a week-long series that's really been a long time in the making, and I'm only now getting around to actually doing it. We're going to do a week of Haitian rums, particularly just focusing on stuff that I should be reviewing and that I just haven't gotten around to yet. Haiti is... It's one of the it's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, but it's also maybe one of the most historically fascinating. It's especially from the point of view of being a rum enthusiast, because the history of rum is the history of colonialism, and Haiti is the first nation founded by slave revolt. That makes it extraordinarily interesting, extraordinarily important. This is the first place that cane juice rum really took off because, of course, the Haitians couldn't sell sugar to the international market because the international market was dominated by European countries who were terrified by, well, not just Europe, it was the US too, but imperial powers that were terrified by what Haiti represented. Haiti is, of course, currently in the middle of a enormous crisis of power, of government, of just about everything. And they too have a new prime minister. I hope them the best. I really do. All I can say is that whatever happens with Haiti, it's got to be them that decides. They have tried to be autonomous, as autonomous as they can be for a long time, and that has been and will continue to be their way forward. Anyways, let's try some rum. No Clarin, because no new Clarin has really come out for the last couple of years because of all the problems they've had over the last few years, but we're going to do an old classic, Barbancourt 8, which for some reason I've had trouble finding in the stores, so we're doing a sample bottle. Zanj, 8-year-old, so we're going to have a little battle of 8-year-old Haitian rums. And Labbé, or maybe Lab, I'm not sure. 20th anniversary. So this is our lineup. This is going to be majority sort of large column still rum. Cane juice based, and yeah, let's get to it. See what happens. Starting with the Barbancourt 8, an old classic. Back in the day, this of course would have been pot distilled. Of course, now it is sort of large industrial columns. But what makes this interesting is the use of French oak. That is very, very, very rare on sort of large column still rums. And you can just tell in the nose, there's a pepperiness, there's a almost a, what is that, like a gunpowder character to this? Yeah, pepper, gunpowder, certain mix of like flowers, almost a flower candy kind of thing, but not Turkish delight. This is like, you know, if you made a candy out of daisies, something like that. It's very, very, very fun because it's, I mean, in a lot of ways it smells a lot like a traditional industrial column still rum. You've definitely got the vanilla in there. There's that kind of banana peel thing going on. Touches of coconut as well. So, yeah, I mean, in some ways, it's straight up that very traditional Cuban style line, and yet it's not. There's some citrus peel in here. And I cannot get over that kind of like gunpowdery, almost like a clove allspice thing, black pepper. Some kind of like peachy, fruity thing. What is that? I want to say peach, but it's like dried peach. 43% on this, always has been, so far as I can remember. On the palate. So, yeah, I mean, it's large column still rum. And that does hurt the mouth presence on this. The finish is a little short. Mouthfeel is okay. Mouth length is, not fantastic, but it's a really fun and interesting twist on that style. What are you getting on this? Peppered banana peel is the main thing. Coconut ice cream. Oh. There's a little bit of ethanol in this. Kind of peeking through. Just a little bit of kind of like, yeah, industrial ethanol in this, but it's not too bad. Vanilla. The pepper is fun. What is that? There's some fruity hints that are really, really hard to nail down. I'm going to go with that dried peach thing again. What is that? Almost like a... It's like grape, but it's not like a whole grape. It's like maybe like a grape skin, like you just... almost like pomace. I'm not... Or really, I got it. Pinot Grigio. This has a kind of Pinot Grigio character to it. Absolutely. Overall, I mean, it's not my favorite rum in the world. Against any Claren, I would take the Claren, like no question. But as a entry in the genre of, multi-column distilled or large column distilled, rum that is available in your local liquor store, except for mine, apparently, this is a fun option. It's got its own twist in the story, and I appreciate that. I'm going to give this a couple of squirts of water. We'll come back to it. 5 drops. And moving on to the Zanj. Now, this is a new series that came out about a year or two ago. And basically this and the Vieux Labbé are kind of lines coming from the other side of the Barbancourt family, the Rhum Barbancourt family. I'm sure there's more to the story than that, but that's about all that's relevant. It's the same folks that are behind the Providence Distillery, which will be coming up in the next review. Let's see how this is. 8 years old, also bottled at 43%. Also, I believe, if not all in large column still, predominantly large column still. And honestly, it's not that far different from the Barbancourt. So once again, we are getting pepper, we are getting vanilla, coconut peel. That kind of clove, allspice nutmeg kind of thing. And even a little bit of that same, little hint of industrial ethanol, but not too bad. Even a little bit of rubber, used dirty rubber. The variation here is there's much more of like a dried fruit component. So I'm absolutely getting more raisins on this. There's some prune. More of a kind of a overt attack of French oak. It's not as pronounced as, say, on the Barbancourt 15, where the French oak is really, really evident, but it's there. Lightly floral on this too, but less so than on the Barbancourt. The Barbancourt is kind of more floral. It's different. It's a fun variation. Initially, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's better. It's a little bit less candied. It's a little bit darker, which is also suggested by the color. Yeah, let's see what happens on the palate. Same kind of story. More of a dried fruit component, which is going to excite some people. Like I'm not going to deny that. But you know, in terms of looking at the development, in terms of the mouth presence, I don't know if this is actually that much better than the little Barbancourt. So what do we get? We are getting vanilla, RC cola, banana peel, coconut. Well, maybe more like coconut shell than like coconut. What fruit? I guess peels this time. The ethanol is actually a little bit more pronounced on this than it is on the Barbancourt. Black pepper, a little allspice, and yeah, then those kind of dark fruit components. The little bit of I'm torn between like plum and prune. Let's go prune. Yeah, sure. Raisin, a little bit of date. These are very, very, very similar. I wouldn't be surprised if these were, you know, coming from basically the same stocks. I mean, the Zanj could just be sourcing from Barbancourt. I don't actually know. The finish might be hanging on a little bit longer, and I think that's mostly due to the wood influence. But it's not like the fun parts of this. It's more like the wood tannins, a little bit of overstewed tea happening. Like the fruitiness and the like the desserty elements, they kind of fade pretty quickly. All right, so we're gonna give this. Now, I don't want to sound like I'm being harsh on the Zanj. It's more like I was looking for something different from Barbancourt 8, and I don't think it's really delivering that so much. But it's still a nice rum, and it's still, again, a fun change if you're used to the regular sea of Cuban style rums out there. 4, 5, and this one is very, very exciting, at least on paper. Vieux Labbé. This is again from the Barbancourt Ling side of the family. This is the 20th anniversary, and apparently all of this was distilled in 1999, I think at least. Also 43%, but much, much, much older. And I kept this in this video because, well, you'll see by comparison to the stuff in the next video. This should be much more tame. And I'm guessing, again, this is a lot of column still, but I don't really know. And immediately you're struck with by just the effects of more wood influence. This has a hell of a lot of wood on the nose. Yeah, to the point that it's really taken over. You're really starting to head more of like an almost an Armagnac kind of direction now. Cinnamon, tons of dried fruit, prunes, raisins, dried cherries, a little black, like dried blackcurrant, figs, tons of black pepper, a little cardamom as well. Yeah, so the one thing that's giving this away to me, at least on the nose, as a rum and as a column still rum, is that a little bit of like dirty pencil eraser happening. Yeah, kind of right in the middle of the texture there. A little hint of vanilla as well. Some, a little bit of minerality. Maybe just a couple of rocks thrown in there. It's the best nose of the three, but it's also the woodiest nose of the three. There's a lot of wood, and again, hand this to me blind, and I would, I might pick up on it being a rum after a while, but my initial thought is, oh, it's an Armagnac or something. On the palate. Oh. So I appreciate these two. I really do. Like, they're just good, honest rums, even if they're not that good. This is in a little bit of a different league. Like, it's just the amount of wood that's been pounded onto this is it's a hair bit maybe two-dimensional, but it's really quite a lot of fun. Yeah. Okay. Mostly follows the nose. Tons and tons and tons of black pepper, dried fruit, prunes, figs, raisins, dried cherries, dried blackcurrants, all the dried fruit. A little orange in there too, like a little dried orange. Tons of cinnamon, cardamom, clove here as well. It really does taste a little like a bit like you just left either one of these two in a really fresh French oak barrel for a long time. That's kind of what's coming out. The little hint of vanilla, like a little tinge of RC Cola happening. There's a fun little zip of acidity in this, which is really nice. That little bit of like, I don't know, sharp acidic orange peel or something. In terms of development, it's not super amazing. It's well, let me check something. I'm doubting myself on the oh, I'm sorry, I lied. Yeah, this is I was completely wrong about the 43% thing, because I was thinking to myself, this comes across as pretty darn hot. Yeah, it's 58.9% ABV. I should write that down somewhere. Let me write that down for myself. 9. So there's a reason why this feels a bit more substantial in the mouth than these two. Sorry. But this does have its own problem, which is that the mouth presence still isn't that great, and that maybe just comes down to, the production process of the original distillate of this. The finish hangs on. There's a lot of like overstewed tea, like chewed up furniture, that kind of thing. black pepper on the back end. But like a lot of the other stuff, those little hints of floral elements, the little citrus, the dried fruit in particular, they don't really stick around. A lot of it's just the tannins. The mouth length is not that great. It's not really getting into the back of my throat at all. The mouthfeel is it's okay. So everything is a little bit of a step up from the previous two, but it's still showing some signs of its origins. Let's put it that way. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. This is going to take 5. Okay, 5 squirts, and we shall come back to this in just a minute. All right, back to the Barbancourt. Oh. Hope they can still taste this after the 59% monster there. All right, Barbancourt A, now with a couple of drops of water in it. Interesting. The nose kind of quiets down. It actually gets a little bit of like almost like a wet paint smell, which is not bad at all. Like it's kind of fun, like almost like a spiced wet paint. So you took some wet paint and you put some like nice cinnamon and like pepper in there, and that's kind of what this smells like. It's interesting. Okay, let's see what happens on the palate. My palate got blown out a little bit by the last one, so let me try this again. It has its limitations. Like at the end of the day, this is a column distilled, rum, multi-column distilled rum presented at 43% alcohol by volume, and it's never going to be the greatest thing in the world. But for what it is, it presents very, very well. It's dry. It's got some fruit on it. That kind of like dried peach thing. Pepper. That kind of almost a gunpowder element. The ethanol thing I was a little bit annoyed by is kind of like faded now, which I appreciate. I mean, at the end of the day, this is probably still like a mixing rum, like that's its role in the world, but I mean, it's got class. It feels like it's got heart. It's got a little bit of its own identity, and I appreciate that. I really do. I'm going to give this, what do I give this? 82 points? That sounds reasonable. 82 points for the Barbancourt 8-year-old, an old classic. I'm happy to revisit, even if the stores don't actually seem to have it right now. Back to the Zanj. On the nose, this one kind of dens down a little bit too. Also sort of doing that same like wet paint kind of thing, except now with an overcoat of sort of dried fruit and a little bit of like cinnamon. Huh. It's probably, I mean, yeah, now it's probably a better nose than the other Barbancourt. I'm more curious about the Barbancourt nose than I am actually really enjoying it. This is quite pleasant though. On the palate, here we go. One more time. Yeah, column stills, man. It arrives with a lot of promise. Like all the dried fruit and stuff, the pepper, the spices, the cinnamon, all that stuff. It arrives very, very well. And then it just kind of progressively falls apart in my mouth. So that by the time it hits the finish, by the time it's sort of starting to go past my molars, like there's just really nothing left except a little bit of, you know, like maybe some bitterness, a little bit of kind of ethanol astringency. I don't know. I don't know if I like this more than the Barbancourt. It's the set of flavors is a little bit different. This is darker. This is a little bit more desserty and friendly. But yeah, I think if you boil it down to the ultimate quality of these things, I think they're about the same. I'm going to give the Zanj an 82 too. 82 as well, sorry. 82 points. And yeah, it's I don't regret buying it. I mean, it's enough of an original that it's fun to have around, and I mean, yeah, and I don't regret buying it, but I don't think it's enough of a leap ahead of Barbancourt 8 on its own that I can really recommend it if you can get this for less money or more easily. And back to the 20th anniversary. On the nose, not a ton of development. It still smells like an Armagnac with a little hint of, like, you know, pencil eraser. I'm getting a little bit more of like an orange peel component on the nose now. That's about it for the big changes. It's really nice. I'm enjoying this. I didn't know what to expect going into it, but it's kind of showing me some things. All right, on the palate. Mm-hmm. It's very good. It's very fun. It's very Armagnac-y. I mean, if I were not a fan of Armagnac, if I were more of a fan of traditional kinds of rums, I'm not sure if I would be super duper into this. But as an Armagnac fan, I'm enjoying it. It is still so water has improved the mouthfeel a little bit. It's a little bit more grippy now. Finish is still mostly just the tannins. Maybe it's a hair bit better. The mouth length is still kind of the issue. It's still kind of dying right at my molars. Not the worst thing in the world, but basically the same flavor profile as before, just kind of better delivered. Score-wise, this is getting at least an 85. I don't think can I get up to 86? I can't do 86. I'm going to do 85 plus for this Labbé. 85 plus. And that is the lineup for this video. 82 each for the Barbancourt 8 and the Zanj 8, and 85 plus for the Vieux Labbé 20th anniversary. So yeah, that is the first video of the Haitian Rum Week, I guess. And these were kind of the warm-up act. Next week we're gonna get serious. We're gonna start with some aged Clarins. Next video. Sorry, it's been a long day. Thanks for watching, and cheers.